Judge Netburn has ruled in the favor of the SEC. What does this mean for Ripple and XRP? So we have another break in the case here. Sarah Netburn has ruled in favor of the SEC on the most recent motion of the SEC to compel Ripple to turn over their financial statements from 2022 and 2023 for their institutional sales of XRP. Obviously, XRP itself is not a security. That was ruled previously by Judge Torres back on July 13th last year. Ripple does have until February 12th to turn over these documents. So what does this actually mean? Is it trouble for Ripple? Are there going to be problems? Well, it could be. It could mean that the fines that they are subject to paying are increased depending on, what's turned over in these documents, the amount of institutional sales that they've been making as unregistered securities. It's the contracts themselves that make something a security. So is somebody expecting returns on the asset that they're purchasing or they're getting from Ripple's efforts? And really that's what's going to constitute if these are securities or not. Obviously, retail sales of XRP, not a problem, but it's institutional ones that are. Ripple, retorted, and they basically stated, if you wanted this information, you should have asked for it in discovery. It's not really pertinent to, what's going on here. Obviously, they want to be able to continue operating as they are. And that's the possible implication here, right? So now that they've been compelled to turn this information over, depending on what the judge rules, they can set forth things that basically stipulate how Ripple can transact with institutions for the XRP. Have they already got it in the hands of everybody that needs it? We'll see, why is this happening now and not earlier in the case? Tinfoil hat, whatever. But we'll have to see how it shakes out. I think it's actually bullish. I'm excited to see that there'll actually be a framework for how digital assets and the companies that use them are supposed to transact with institutions and make those sales. Do they need to register with the SEC? There'll be actual legislation and a court ruling on how these transactions are supposed to take place. And I think this is actually a benefit for that. Again, it might impact Ripple's ability to continue operating as they have been. They may have to restructure the contracts. They may have to halt sales of the XRP to institutions moving forward, or go back to the drawing board and figure out the right way to do it, register with the SEC if they are going to, deem these as securities. So excited. A lot of people were upset for whatever reason, thinking that this could potentially be a problem. I think it's actually just progressing the case forward, and that we will get some actual regulation around how this stuff is supposed to be done, and that it's actually good for the space as a whole. So hopefully this has been insightful for you. If you haven't, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.